All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Crew Show with a little 49er video. And check out Pig and a Pickle, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week in Marin, and they're open Wednesday through Sunday in Emeryville. Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Well, Chris Sims has put out his top 40 quarterback list. And man, he's got the Niner quarterbacks ranked so low on this list. And so, I don't have his full list here. I just know where he ranked the Niners quarterbacks. He's got Brock Purdy 26th. He's got Sam Darnold 27th. And he doesn't even have Trey Lance anywhere in his rankings, and he ranks the top 40. So, needless to say, I think that's way too low. I mean, that's just way too low. Purdy had a really good year. Do we need to see more? Sure. But, there's also other young quarterbacks on this list as well. I need to see more from them as well. I need to see more out of Trevor Lawrence. I need to see more out of Justin Herbert. I need to see more out of a number of young quarterbacks around the league before I would feel good about where they finally are going to rank. But I would say Brock Purdy is way too low. 26th. Okay, I have him as 13. These are the 12 quarterbacks I have in front of Brock Purdy. Patrick Mahomes, in whatever order you want, but this is basically my order. Patrick Mahomes 1, Josh Allen 2, Joe Burrow 3, Aaron Rodgers 4, Justin Herbert 5, despite the fact he's roughly 500. Jalen Hurts 6, Deshaun Watson 7, Russell Wilson 8, Trevor Lawrence 9, Lamar Jackson 10, Matthew Stafford 11, Kirk Cousins 12. And I got Brock Purdy at 13. I got Brock Purdy in front of everybody else. The only guys even on the list that I would even consider putting in front of Brock Purdy that I don't have in front of Brock Purdy right now, I have him at 13, would be guys that are really, really young, but with high upside. For example, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Bryce Young. Those 3 guys right there potentially would jump Brock Purdy on my list. But otherwise, Purdy's 13. Now, where do I have Trey Lance and Sam Darnold? Well, I have Trey Lance, who Chris Sims doesn't even have in his top 40. Now, granted, it's a projection, but all these guys are projections to some degree when it comes to the young guys. I mean, Anthony Richardson's a projection. Bryce Young's a projection. Desmond Ridder, very much a projection. We don't know. Jordan Love in Green Bay, very much a projection. Mac Jones, very much a projection. One good year, one down year. Kenny Pickett, projection. We don't know what he's going to be. Sam Howell, projection. So there's just a lot of guys that you got to CJ Stroud, you got to project him down the line. So we're doing some projecting. And I can't necessarily put Trey in behind those guys, but I have Trey at 22. And you say, well, what players do you have behind Trey? Are in front of Trey, behind Brock, but in front of Trey. Dak Prescott, I have him in front of Trey. I have Jimmy Garoppolo in front of Trey. I got to put Mac Jones in front of Trey. He's just done more. I would put Anthony Richardson and Justin Fields ahead of Trey, just because I think they've got really, really high upside. Bryce Young, I'd put in front of Trey. Kyler Murray, I'd put in front of Trey. So I have Trey sitting there at 22. Sims doesn't even have him in the top 40. So he just is like, he hasn't gotten any better since last year and so on and so forth. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, he didn't get any better. So what about other young quarterbacks who sit the bench? Do they consider they're not getting any better either? Like, did Jordan Love somehow get better because he started one time? I don't know. I don't know where he's putting all these guys. But I have Purdy at 13. He's got him at 26. I've got Lance at 22. He doesn't have him among his top 40. I have Sam Darnold at he's got him at 25. I've got Sam Darnold at 27. So who do I have in front of Sam Darnold? Well, all those guys obviously in front of Purdy. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Rodgers, Herbert, Hurts, Watson, Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, Brock Purdy, obviously Trey Lance. And then I also have Daniel Jones in front of Sam Darnold. I have Dak Prescott in front of Sam Darnold. I have Jimmy Garoppolo in front of Sam Darnold. Mac Jones, Tua Tagovailoa, Anthony Richardson, Justin Fields, Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Kyler Murray, and Jared Goff. In fact, the only guys that I don't have in front of Sam Darnold, the guys that I consider worse than Sam Darnold, would be Desmond Ridder, Derek Carr, Baker Mayfield, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett, Ryan Tannehill, Davis Mills, and Sam Howell. Basically, everybody else I probably have in front of Sam Darnold. They either have more potential or they've done more or I just like them more. And so I got Sam Darnold at 27. So to me, it's interesting, though. You know, he's got Brock at 26. He's got Darnold at 27. I have Brock at 13. I have Darnold at 25. And I have Lance at 22. And he doesn't even have Lance, so I have Brock comfortably ahead of Lance and Darnold, but I have Lance ahead of Darnold. He's got Brock and Darnold literally back to back, 26 and then 27, and he doesn't have Lance anywhere on his list in the top 40. So, I mean, I don't get that. I mean, you'd rather have Desmond Ridder than Lance. You'd rather have broken down Derek Carr and his throw the ball into the turf over Trey Lance. You'd rather have, it's a weird, to me, he's got kind of a weird list. Purdy at 26. He's got Lance outside the top 40 and Darnold at 27. I'm going Purdy at 13, Lance at 22, and Darnold at 25, 26. So I think he's got Darnold kind of the most accurate is Darnold. He obviously doesn't think very highly of Trey Lance, which I do understand from the standpoint of so much with Lance at this point is a total projection. And it's a projection without a lot of college tape to go with it. So it's like you've got to project him to what he is at the pro level, but without really even having a real good feel for exactly what he was at the college level. And then, with Sam Darnold, it's amazing how Sam Darnold struggled mightily with the Jets, didn't play well with Carolina, really. And yet he thinks Sam Darnold is well, he's got him at 27. I got him at 25. So I've got Darnold a little bit higher than he does by a spot or two, but we basically agree on Darnold. We don't agree on Lance, where I see potential in Lance and Sims does not. I mean, if you're putting him 40, you're basically saying you can't play. I mean, if you have Desmond Ridder in front of him and Sam Howell and all these guys, Davis Mills, they're all in front of Trey Lance. Every quarterback in the league that you ranked, you have in front of Trey Lance, really? He's 6'4", 220. He's cares a lot about being good. I mean, I get it. It's a little bit of a projection, but a lot of the traits that you want to see in a young quarterback, Trey Lance has. He's dedicated. He's smart. Football's important to him. He's athletic. He's strong. But I guess, he wants to see it first. But what a weird contradiction for Sims, because he doesn't have Trey Lance on his board at all because he didn't play last year, hardly. He doesn't have him on the board. So Trey Lance isn't on the board. So it's like not playing last year takes you off of Sims' board. But then Purdy, who didn't lose a single regular season game, won 2 playoff games, went 7-1 as a starter, did play and played exceptional football, had really high numbers across the board in several categories. So he did play, but is 26th. Lance didn't play and makes the top 40. Darnold barely played at all. He had a 6-game stretch for Carolina, and he had better stats than he's had, but they weren't awesome stats by any stretch. But he's 27th based on all these things that we've seen in the past. Oh, Sam Darnold can do this, and he's got mobility, and he's got this and that. And then when you get into the discussion, when Sims actually got into the discussion about what these guys were and why he felt the way he felt, when he's talking about Darnold, he's talking about how he doesn't really see the risk reward factor, that he takes risks he shouldn't take for rewards that aren't worth it. That his feel is questionable, that his feel is inconsistent, that he stares down receivers, but that he holds the ball too long. That he plays too much backyard football, but he loves Darnold as far as he feels like the potential's great. He's giving him a break because he's had 4 head coaches and 5 offensive coordinators. He's giving him a break because he thinks he's ideally suited for Kyle's play action and bootleg game. He's docking him for being, despite having physical ability and physical skill set, that he thinks he's got real quick feet and a great quick release and a very strong arm. And so he's giving him high marks on all those things. But as far as, feel and, staring down receivers and, he likes his potential, and he's just, as far, he likes his ability to run. So, but risk reward, all quarterbacks have to find that exact area where you're pushing hard to make plays inside of these tight windows, but you're not pushing too hard to turn over the football. That is the position. The position is trying to strike the right balance between taking chances and being smart. That's the job. So if you've got Brock Purdy, who just played this incredible year where he went 8-1, 6-0 in the regular season, 2-1 in the playoffs, has great feel, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. Sims admitted that Purdy can make all the throws, so he doesn't believe he's a dink and dunk guy at all. He says he's got to shorten his motion, that he's got super moxie, that he's cool under pressure. Said he's very similar to Sam Darnold, and he said he can make game-changing throws, and that he credited Purdy for having great vision, seeing the field. Called him an unbelievable decision maker, that he really hailed his feel for the game. Said he's very mature. He's got veteran eyes. All these compliments. 26th. 26th. Tons of compliments. He goes 8-1 as a player, as a rookie. Does more than most rookie quarterbacks ever do, but 26th. Sam Darnold, despite the fact that his risk reward breakdown is not great, that his feel is questionable, that he's inconsistent, and yet he's on Sims's board 27. So there's a lot of inconsistencies there. If you just listen to what he said about Brock, you would have thought he would have had him in the teens. As I said, I have him 13. He has him 26. If you heard him talk about Sam Darnold, you would think, wow, he's got Sam Darnold super high. He loves Sam Darnold. He's got him at 27. I'd probably have him at 25. And for Trey Lance, he just doesn't spend any time on Trey Lance at all. Total disrespect for Trey Lance's entire skill set. No respect at all. He doesn't have him in the top 40. I'd have him 22, just based on his ability and what he's shown in glimpses thus far. So very interesting quarterback list, to say the least, from Chris Sims. I do find it interesting, though, that Purdy is 26th, and yet several of the traits he talked about were incredible. And I'm looking at this list. I've got Purdy, as I said, at 13. I can't think of anybody on this list. I mean, you're going to put Dak Prescott over Purdy? Really? You're not going to put Jimmy over him. He just outplayed Jimmy with Jimmy's team, right? So, what are you going to put Mac Jones ahead of Purdy? Because 2 years ago he had a good year. Last year he didn't have a good year. You can put Tua over him, despite the fact that Tua has been hit and miss. You can put Fields over him, despite the fact that Fields is a great runner, but not much of a thrower yet, and really is an unproven player in that regard. Derek Carr? I mean, who are you putting over Brock Purdy? Kyler? I'm not really sure. Goff? To me, Brock Purdy definitely is a top 15 quarterback. As I said, I got him 13. He's got him 26. Lance, to me, is a top 25 quarterback. I thought I was being conservative having him at 22. He doesn't even have him in the top 40. And we basically agree that Darnold is not a top 25 guy. I have him 25th. He has him 27th. There you go. Chris Sims' breakdown on the quarterbacks. And I just think that when you look at that list, 26 for Purdy's way too low. 27 for Darnold, a tad low. But 40 for Lance is also way too low. So let's just say this. Chris Sims, not a fan of the 49er quarterbacks. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. And thanks to all of you for supporting the Krueger Show on YouTube.